Wagwan. Medea UFC flyweight Ode Osbourne, the Jamaican sensation here, and we are about to break down the UFC Miami card, which I'm actually going to Miami for this card. Jiri Prochazka versus Carlos Ulberg. This card is gonna be fire. Fire. I'm like, yo, they might as well swap the White House card and put this lineup in that card. You know what I'm saying? Because this card's a banger from the prelims all the way to the top. Let's look at the first fight on the prelims. The first fight on the prelims is Kevin Gastelum. Early prelims. Kevin Gastelum versus Vicente Luque is the first fight on the early prelims. That's crazy to me. That's how you know this card is a banger, man. And, if I had to choose between Kevin Gastelum and Vicente Luque, I'm gonna go on a limb and I'm gonna say Kevin Gastelum, mainly because his last fight against Joe Pyfer, he had, I think the last round, he showed me some stuff that I was like, yo, Kevin Gastelum, why you didn't do that the first round and the second round and the third, you know what I'm saying? He waited till the third round to do it. But I really think Kevin Gastelum reminds me of that fat kid back in the day that was super chunky, but used to ball out, like dropping threes on the court, scoring touchdowns, catching crazy balls. Pause. So, he's one of the most athletically odd-shaped men in that division. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Kevin Gastelum for this one. Next up, we got Tatiana Suarez versus Lupi Godinez, and I think this is a no-brainer for me personally. I'm going to go with Tatiana Suarez. I am friends with Tatiana, so it is a little bit of biased opinion. But I do feel that her wrestling and grappling is, bar none, one of the best. And I don't know that Lupi is going to have an answer for her wrestling grappling. Now, if Lupi can keep the fight standing and use her range and use her footwork on Tatiana, she may have some success. But ultimately, I think it's going to come down to the base wrestling, grappling effect of Tatiana Suarez, and I feel that Tatiana is going to be too much for her and impose her will. So I'm going Tatiana Suarez. Next up, we have Kevin Holland versus Randy Rude Boy, and you already know, man. I love Kevin Holland's fights. He's a very exciting fighter, but you don't know semi I go with Randy Rude Boy because that's my Jamaican brother. I'm not go against my brother. So obviously, I'm going Randy Brown on this one. That's my boy, Randy Brown. Big up from Jamaica. And I think Randy Brown just has that wingspan. I think his reach is insane. Oh, actually, Kevin Holland has an 81-inch reach and Randy Brown has a 78. I thought Randy Brown would have a longer reach than Kevin Holland, but I was wrong. Randy Brown has a shorter reach. I do believe that Randy Brown is the more game fighter. Sometimes you see with Kevin Holland fights, he shows up, and other times he plays too much. But when Kevin Holland is on and takes it seriously, he's a very good fighter. He really is. But sometimes he just plays too much. That's my only thing with Kevin. I always root for Kevin Holland, except for when he's fighting my Jamaican brother Randy Brown. So I have to go the other way this time. Moving on, Mateusz Gamrot versus Esteban Ribovics. Butchered the hell out of that last name. Mateusz Gamrot, in my opinion, has one of the best wrestling pedigrees in that division. I think Mateusz Gamrot and Arman Tsarukyan, two of the best wrestlers in that division, hands down. You know what I'm saying? It was very surprising, actually, when Dan Hooker stopped Mateusz Gamrot. I thought that fight was going to go the other way. But I do believe that this is going to be a tough fight for Mateusz Gamrot if he keeps it standing. If he doesn't and goes the route of path of least resistance and puts his wrestling pedigree on Esteban Ribovics, I think he will do wonders. And I do think that Gamrot will take this fight, and I got him on the W. I didn't know that Esteban Ribovics is 29 years old. Wow, he's super young. That changes things actually. That actually almost makes me want to change my pick on this fight because, yo, I'm telling you, when you get to a certain age, you kind of slow down a little bit. And I feel like, 35, 36, you start to slow down. But Gamrot, though, is a master on the ground. He is so dynamic when it comes to his wrestling. You know what? I'm going to stick with my pick. I'm going to stick with Mateusz Gamrot in this matchup, and I'm going to say he's taking the W on this one. Yo, this fight is so good. We got Cub Swanson versus Nate Landwehr. Nate the Train, man. Yo, Nate the Train is one of the most exciting fighters. Cub Swanson is one of the most exciting fighters. I didn't even know Cub Swanson was still an active fighter. I wonder if this is his last fight. I don't know. But I've always been a Cub Swanson fan. Cub Swanson has nasty hands. Nate Landwehr is like, he reminds me of a Nate Diaz in that, man, all the Nates is just, they have a certain character about them, man. I hate to go against Nate Landwehr, but I gotta go with my guy, Cub Swanson. I think his combinations are just a little bit more, his combinations are a lot cleaner. Nate Landwehr is a dog, and he just goes and he's all up in your face, but I do think that Cub has the better striking pedigree. So I'm going to go with Cub Swanson on this one. All right, I'm going to move on to the main card. Azamat Murzakanov versus Paulo Costa. That is a phenomenal fight. I love Paulo Costa, and I've said this before. Paulo Costa is one of my favorite fighters in this division, but only thing I don't like about Paulo Costa is he doesn't fight enough. You know what I'm saying? He is such a dynamic fighter. It's interesting because it has Azamat Murzakanov listed as a 205er and Paulo Costa as an 85er. So that's going to be interesting to see how that will play a part. Because if Azamat is a 205er, I don't, I'm interested to see how they play this, because sometimes when you're bigger, you're slower, right? Size doesn't mean you're going to be the better fighter. Not at all. If Azamat is coming down to the middleweight, I still think Paulo Costa is going to get the job done, because when I watched Paulo Costa versus Roman Kopylov, Paulo Costa looked so good. If that Paulo Costa shows up against Azamat stands no chance. I'm gonna say it, because Paulo Costa has great grappling. He's got great striking. He's got the whole package. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy to me too that Israel Adesanya dusted all of these guys, man. All of these guys. And Izzy is now on a 4-fight losing streak. It just goes to show you sometimes it's not about who's the best. A lot of the times it's about who can last the longest in the UFC and be good enough, just long enough to be great. And that's what I'm seeing from fighters like Bobby Green, Paulo Costa, you know what I'm saying? For a second there, I thought Paulo Costa was done. But man, he put the bangers on Roman Kopylov. So from watching that fight and seeing that Paulo Costa is still in his prime, I'm going to go Paulo Costa. Dominic Reyes versus Johnny Walker. This is a good matchup. I think this is a great matchup for these two guys because, Dominic Reyes, who I still think beat John Jones, he had a rough go against Carlos Ulberg. We didn't really get to see much of Dominic Reyes in that fight. Didn't really last long. Fell for him in that one. But I do think Dominic Reyes will get the job done against Johnny Walker because he is a little bit more methodical. The one thing about Johnny Walker, he is an exciting fighter. He throws everything and the kitchen sink at you in there. But Johnny Walker lacks defense. You know, his offense is incredible, but you can't have all offense and no defense. You know what I mean? And the one thing I will say about Johnny Walker is he lacks defense. And I do believe that Dominic Reyes is going to exploit those holes and take advantage of that. So I'm going to give the W to Dominic Reyes. Curtis Blades versus Josh Cringe Hokett. Nah, man, I'm making fun. I'm just poking fun. But Josh Hokett can get a little cringy. But you know what, though? I don't mind somebody like Josh Hokett changing it up on the mic, because I'm tired of seeing these guys get on the mic and be like, yeah, so, you know, my next fight, I'm hoping to do the same thing I did in my last fight. I'm going to go in there and put the hands on this person, and I'm just going to do what I do. You know, I'm tired of those interviews, man. I'm actually glad that Josh Hokett, even though it can be a little cringy to the fans, I'm glad that he's bringing something new to the table, because we want to see something new, man. We're tired of the same old interviews, man. Mix it up. Show Josh Hokett some love. He'll be taking on Curtis Razor Blades, and I think this is going to be his toughest fight yet. I don't know who I got for this fight. I'm not going to lie. I do think if Josh Hokett beats Curtis Blades, he's running straight to the top, you know, because Curtis Blades, we know what he wants to do. He's a dynamic wrestler. And if Josh Hokett can fend off the wrestling from Curtis Blades and does wrestling of his own, man, Hokett going to the top. But if not, he got to go back to the drawing board. You know what I mean? He will jump the line huge if he beats Curtis Blades. But I think Curtis Blades does have great wrestling. You know, he sticks to the basics. Say what you want, but he beat Tom Aspinall. I don't care. That fight with him versus Tom Aspinall, was it the first time? Yeah, the first time. People say it was a fluke. He beat Tom Aspinall. Now, Tom Aspinall did come back and get his W back. So, you know, he gets his W on that one. But, yeah, man, I don't know who wins this fight, because you have two guys who are super athletic, super good on the ground with their wrestling and their takedowns. They mix it up really well. I think Curtis Blades does have the better wrestling and more experience. So if I had to pick... man, I want Curtis Blades, but Josh Hokett is so damn confident. It's almost like he's tricking me with his confidence. So I don't know. We're going to move on from this. Joshua Van versus Tatsuro Taira. Man, this is a matchup everybody is asking me about, because I am a flyweight, so I'll be paying very close attention to this fight. And I do believe Tatsuro Taira is going to take this one, mainly because I don't think that Josh Van has been tested in the grappling department. And I think Tatsuro is going to overwhelm him with the grappling. Not only that, I do think Tatsuro has great reach advantage. I think Josh Van is just a little bit unseasoned. I'm not saying he for sure will take an L. I think Josh Van could definitely beat Tatsuro. I think Josh Van has clean, crispy striking. He's confident. He's young. You know what I'm saying? Look what he did. Brandon Royval beat Tatsuro Taira, and Josh Van beat Brandon Royval. So that goes to show Josh Van is very much in this fight. I just believe that Tatsuro is going to put heavy grappling on him, and the reason you didn't see Tatsuro do that with Brandon Royval is because Royval has nasty grappling, and the saying is styles make fights. Styles makes fights, and stylistically, I just feel that Tatsuro has the better pedigree when it comes to his range and his grappling and wrestling. So I think Tatsuro is going to try to wrestle Josh Van this entire fight and try to get a submission that way. So we'll see how it plays out. You know what I mean? I hope I'm wrong, because I got love for Josh Van. He's a dope fighter, and I do want him to win. But if I was a betting man, I would bet on Tatsuro Taira. All right, moving on. For the main events, we got Jiri Prochazka versus Carlos Ulberg. Man, yo, every time you think Jiri Prochazka is out of it, he just comes back gunslinging, man. His last performance against Khalil Roundtree was incredible. Wow. He put that pace on Khalil Roundtree. This is a hard fight to score because it's almost like you have durability versus technicality and precision. Who wins this? This fight could go either way. I do feel that Ulberg is the cleaner striker. Jiri is the more, when I say durable, I mean he's going to be in your face for 5 rounds. He does not let off the gas. So the question is Carlos Ulberg able to withstand Jiri's pressure if it goes to the later rounds? And is Jiri able to take a punch from Carlos Ulberg? Because Carlos Ulberg hits like a freight train, man. He hits so hard. And he pretty much TKOs everybody he puts hands on. So if I had to bet on this one, I'm gonna pick Carlos Ulberg for the W on this fight. And yeah, man, I could be wrong, but I'm gonna go Ulberg via TKO, 2nd or 3rd round. Well, guys, that's all for today. UFC flyweight Ode Osbourne, the Jomiakan sensation, out.